Spencer Russell, and I wrote this thing called Box, like BHDH apostrophe S BOX. All right. So what we have is 3 pieces of notation, three scores, and so this could either be used for 3 live musicians, which is part of the idea. But then, just kind of for demonstration, I plugged it into just like the Sawtooth BL, just so you can actually hear what the music would sound like, were it to actually be performed. So I should have tested the thing when I did that, so make sure we had sound. But so, just like in 4/4, I'll generate 10 measures at 90 BPM. So, like, as you can hear, it kind of just like rips off a lot of kind of really basic, diatonic harmony rules and stuff. So the way that I'm generating the 3 melodies is I'm basically I'm starting with a library of like 1 measure chord progressions, and then where every chord kind of has a weight associated with it that says how much of the measure it's supposed to take up. Because this thing scales, so you can play something in like 7 if you want. Or whatever times if you want. And so the library of chords doesn't say specifically how many beats every chord gets. It just says how much of the measure it takes up. So like if you have like 4/5/1, it might be like 0.25, 0.25, 0.5 are the weights for the 3 chords. So then it distributes those chords over the measure, and then it first generates all the rhythms, which is basically just kind of this recursive thing that scans down and like first makes quarter notes and then probabilistically either splits it into 8ths or and then splits it into 16ths. And then once it's generated the rhythms, then it goes through and it basically assigns notes based on the chord tones that it's in. And then it looks at the previous note and kind of takes a Gaussian distribution as far as distances away from the previous note, so that it tends to be a lot of stepwise kind of close motion, and then larger jumps are more rare. And then and then that Gaussian is kind of weighted also towards some kind of like center point for each voice, so that the soprano voice like tends to center around some high, some high note in the bass, something lower, and then if they start to drift too far off that center, then they kind of start getting pulled back. So I mean, like I just kind of picked something like some simple rules that you'd be able to really hear if it was working or not, as kind of a test of the process. And so I feel like it seems to do what I thought it would do for the most part. And then the kind of underlying structure is pretty extensible and useful for a lot of other things. So like I created like a chord library where you can give it, you can say like chord dot F major 7, and it'll give you like an array of 4 doubles that's like a major 7th chord, all in kind of like MIDI modulo 12. So like it's like 0, 4. So I mean things like that are pretty useful, I think. And I'll probably use them later on. But